Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. You can see on my first slide, it says advanced air mobility, and a lot of people talk about UAM being the future. It is actually not the 4th of November, 2023. My slide is in the future. I apologize for that. There are some common industry abbreviations for people who are not familiar with UAM. Or urban air mobility. Just take a moment to look through these. Some of you will already know them, and some of you who are here today might have already seen some of this information. So if that's the case, I apologize. Part of my role is to really start to educate people about what we do and what the industry requires. So please bear with me with that. Today I'm going to speak to you a little bit about an introduction to our company, what is happening globally, and then a little bit about our vertiport business, design to operations experience, and our view of the Korea UAM market as time allows. So our core expertise, we are a end-to-end supplier. You've heard this before. It really means that we provide everything from site planning all the way to the actual operation of the vertiport. We can say that we know how to operate a vertiport because we have one, which I will show you a little bit later in this slide presentation. We hope to be operating multiple vertiports around the world, and I'll speak with you a little bit more about that as well. The network planning and design phase is a collaboration between us, the constructors, and as well as people working with our back-end software systems, including our customers who are these folks here. They are the people who are manufacturing the aircraft that will be arriving and taking off from our facilities. So we pride ourselves on the relationships that we have globally with the top OEM aircraft providers. Some of them you can see here. We have integrated some of their systems already in projects that we have, such as Cergy-Pontoise Airport in France with Volocopter. We are working with Archer, and we are working with Joby as well. We are an agnostic service provider, so we really want to be able for any aircraft to really land at our vertiport. And we want their customers to be able to utilize our services. We look at the value add for our business, and we really see it as sites where they're needed. So we want to make sure that this that when we're looking at where vertiports are, for us it really makes a difference in the study as to, are people actually going to need to come here? Is there a reason for people to actually utilize this service? That means anything from connecting airports to urban areas. It means tourist attractions. It means cargo. Whatever the use case is, we need to make sure that it's enough that we are going to actually put a structure in place. And then we have one relationship for all the ground infrastructure needs. So we provide the ground handling for your aircraft. We provide the charging and the RMSS for your people. We integrate your networks and your platforms to be able to work with ours. Talking a little bit about the global trend for the business, there's a $9.5 million grant by the UK government's Future Flight Challenge. There's the NASA national campaign. There's, of course, Korea's UAM Grand Challenge here in Korea. And there is Osaka Expo really creating a driving force and being a catalyst for their growth of the UAM sector in Japan. I hope to see something similar happen in Busan for the 2030 Expo. But just speaking a little bit about the project for the UK Future Flight Challenge, the project will demonstrate the feasibility of a UK AAM ecosystem that's using vertical aerospace's emission-free eVTOL aircraft operated by Virgin. And then for the NASA campaign, it's really, they want to see, address key safety and integration barriers, emphasize critical operational challenges towards commercial viability and public acceptance. These are all areas where we in the industry are working towards. The race to aircraft certification looks something like this. From our view and perspective, it changes from time to time, but Volocopter is very close to certification, so are Beta and Joby, and Archer is following them. We work with all of these aircraft providers, again, to be able to provide services for all of them, and we want all of them to succeed. The challenges that we have, speaking a little bit about the growth of the sector, you're talking about the need for regulatory approvals. And this is where we work with EASA, we work with the FAA, we work with a number of different regulatory bodies to be able to create standards for this industry. Another area of standardization, talking about standards, you have multiple aircraft arriving and leaving from your facility. You need to be able to charge them all. They're all going to have potentially different charging ways of charging these aircraft. And so you can see in the photo, on the bottom, you have Volocopter, which removes the entire back end of the aircraft to be with the batteries itself to be able to swap out the battery pack. Whereas other aircraft will just require somebody to actually just recharge the aircraft. So we need to standardize as we go forward. There'll be some consolidation. There'll be some standardization, and then public acceptance is a big one. A lot of people feel uneasy about flying in an eVTOL. I don't know how many of you would actually fly in one that doesn't have a pilot. Show of hands of anybody who would fly in an aircraft that doesn't have a pilot. So that's why we use our drone services to be able to understand this industry better. And I don't have time to talk about those services, but cargo is a really big piece of this puzzle. It's that boxes are not afraid to fly. So we can find out a lot about the industry without actually putting people in yet. But that's a big piece of that integration, and then the ecosystem itself, connecting people to this entire ecosystem of having a new way to get to the airport, to get from the airport, or to get to your favorite theme park or whatever the case may be. So the front runners in this industry are really Dubai and Paris. And Paris, because they have the Olympics, they're flying actual passenger flights next year. We help with the integration. And they also test at our facility together with Group ADP. Our facility is located at one of Group ADP's airports. It's called Cergy-Pontoise. I will show it to you shortly. And then the one on the right is our new project from Dubai. It is 4 separate locations, and it's connecting those 4 locations, one being the Dubai International Airport, and then Palm Jumeirah and some of the other locations that people need to get to in a hurry. And this is not a final render, but it is a final that we are working with the Road and Transport Authority in Dubai to be able to operate these for 30 years in the region. So we are also looking around at helicopter landing areas so that we can, helipads that we can utilize to be able to understand the industry better as well. Supporting that backbone in Paris is really just system integration for us currently. There's a high risk to this, and our partner and investor, Group ADP, who's one of the largest airport operators in the world, is really capable of doing this currently. So we are just working with Volocopter to really integrate their systems to be able to do this. This is a look at our test bed. And that's just operational testing in a real live airfield. I'll let our CEO, Duncan Walker, tell you about it.
Welcome to the Skyports vertiport at Pontoise-Cormeilles Airfield in Paris. This is Europe's first fully integrated vertiport testbed, which is designed to test the entire value chain of advanced air mobility technologies.
This is a culmination of a project we've been doing with ADP since 2019. They invested in Skyports very early on, one of our first investors. And it allows us to get exposure to an airport company which has got a global reach, one of the biggest airport companies in the world. And to be able to build a vertiport airside at an operational airport is great for Skyports and ADP. It allows us to do operational testing in a live environment. We can test our technology, make sure it operates with existing aviation traffic. And we can test our people processes and do lots of things behind the scenes that we want to do ahead of our global expansion. And it's a natural step on the journey to permanent commercial operations.
As passengers enter the vertiport terminal, they will go through a check-in process where we verify their identity, and then they proceed to the lobby where passengers can wait before their departure. The entire passenger journey needs to be as quick and smooth as possible so that we minimize the dwell time and the overall passenger journey from their origin to their destination. A couple of minutes before the flight, passengers will be asked to start boarding. The gate will verify their identity and confirm that they are designated to their departing flight, and then they will be escorted by a member of staff to the aircraft before they do their pre-departure briefing and takeoff.
This vertiport, whilst on French soil, is a great testing environment for us to translate those learnings to other environments around the world. As we move towards our first operational cities, many of which will be with Group ADP, we can take these learnings, the technology we've got here, and use best-in-class practices in other environments around the world.
So without infrastructure, there is no AAM industry. If you are arriving somewhere, you want to make sure that there's a place to land, especially when you're in a battery-powered aircraft. You want to make sure that there is a safe place to land that's fairly close by. As an integrator, the way that we make this a business is just through these different areas. It's really security, it's passenger management, safe ground operations, it's charging and electrification, of course. And then looking at the business case for the landing fees and the charging, the ground handling, as well as the vertiport management and the advertising that comes along with this. I showed you what Dubai looks like, and that is one location where they have the deep pockets to be able to create something large from the beginning, and they have the deep pockets to be able to make sure that we have minimize our downside risk as an operator there. Not every location or area that we work in or city that we work in is going to have those. And so we put together what we call the minimum viable product, or our MVP. We look at the fact that the industry is in an early stage. We built one of these in 2019 in Singapore, in the Marina Bay area. And Volocopter did multiple flights there as well. And that was to be able to allow the people to be able to understand, the public to be able to understand, what is this going to be like? It's not the future, it's now. But that facility was quite large, and it had one aircraft inside and one aircraft outside flying. So it was more of a stage to be able to allow people to see and dream about what the future is, to gain some support from the community. For us, building it hugely requires then for us to be able to run a large amount of dedicated power to it. It requires us to be able to maintain it, and there needs to be, multiple aircraft that are being handled there. If not, is just sitting there. We don't want that. So we are looking at new ways of trying to design vertiports to be able to make them small enough to scale as the aircraft are certified and that there are more demand for this service. So there's a balancing, that valuable proposition between quick and efficient passenger journey and then generating the non-aeronautical revenue. Just to talk about the non-aeronautical revenue, this is our Skyports London heliport. It's right on the river next to Canary Wharf area, and we had BTS perform there, for example. It was one of our largest revenue generating activities. This is to show how you can utilize your space for more than just airside revenue. There are other ways to make money doing that, but this also helps the people to be close to a network of vertiports or one of those nodes, and be around aircraft or be around someplace where there's a big V or an H on the ground, and they can get to understand it's not so scary to be standing here, and that's big for us for the industry in the future. Just in closing, I'll just speak a little bit about again. This is the Dubai project. Something really important to me is the cargo vertiport. It's not just people that you're carrying, but cargo. And so we also design cargo vertiports. Typically, right now we're utilizing our drone services to be able to utilize these. But we are creating those air corridors in the sky for people, working with the regulators to be able to understand what the concept of operations is, detect and avoidance, 5G networks, how those work, what the boundaries are for these, and utilizing small aircraft will then make the way for larger aircraft in the future. So we really think that's a big, important part of our business. And we see in Korea, there's just a huge appetite for what's going on globally. We see a very organized approach together with the ministry, with the KUAMGC, with the UTK, and these are great approaches to doing something like this. We also see extremely high interest in cities, and we see some drivers like the Busan Expo, like Jeju Island, and the Daegu area. So there's an uncertain outlook towards commercialization, and there's some apprehension amongst the industry players. New industry players are coming out, like SK Telecom, and like some of the other ones that are in the industry. And we really are happy to be here. We're looking forward to working with different partners to be able to make this a reality in Korea. I'd like to thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak to you today. And with that, I will leave you. Thank you.